when I feel offended that somebody couldn't make it to my thing.
Yeah.
I have to realize they got a lot going on. People have a lot going on.
Hi there. This is the Anything But Quiet Time podcast, which means we get loud about things that we believe.
Wow. It's actually a good description of the podcast.
Honestly, I'm just loud in general.
I know.
And we're honest.
We're honest. We're honest and raw here.
Sometimes it hurts.
I'm sorry. It's all
right.
I'm loud too. So we do. It's YouTube and Spotify and however you're consuming this. You can go give your feedback on like this video on YouTube, for example. We love to talk about your topics as well. Have you ever felt like life is beating you down?
When life gets you down, you know what you got to do.
What do you got to do?
You just got to keep swimming.
Okay. Thank you.
That's not how Tori said it too, and it really bothers me that I said it wrong.
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. And then she sings it.
What do you do when your home security provider is the actual enemy?
So he's the guy you don't want in the house?
Not anymore. No, I think this is
You go with a different security system
Maybe
company.
so. Unfortunately, it was just set up. No, I'm in the process of moving, and it has been a lot. We've had a lot of issues with just different things of working in the house. And I came into this, we've used a security provider before, and I'm used to them just coming in and doing the thing and see you later, and they've been great. And I get there yesterday, and they have $5,000 worth of equipment on my kitchen island that they're trying to sell me.
So this was not a part of the deal prior.
No, they're insisting I need this.
Sure.
If basically, I'm reading between the lines, but if I care about the safety of my family,
you're going to upgrade.
You're going to need all this.
Yeah.
And I am a cheapskate. And I said no to most of it. There were a couple things I'm like, okay, that's not a bad idea.
Being wise isn't being cheap.
Sure.
But
right?
no, he's right. He is a cheapskate.
But I am. That's true.
So.
And my wife asked the question, we're both there, and my wife asked the question, well, of all the people that you present all of this stuff to, how many people usually opt in for it? And they go, ma'am, about 95%. Okay. AKA, your husband doesn't care about, this is how I took it. Your husband doesn't care about the safety of you and your child is how it.
Meanwhile, the guys just started a week ago and they've only had 2 customers.
And there's the deal, right? It feels like this happens a lot. If I don't get the extra fluoride on my teeth, I'm a terrible person. And the dentist goes, and not all dentists, I'm just saying there's times you feel this way. You must not care about your teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't get your dog a flu shot. The vet says, wow, you must not care about your dogs in so many ways.
You didn't get the premium car wash?
The premium car wash.
The top one.
You go to the auto place, you go to the vet, and they're all in because that's obviously their passion, their job, or they're trying to sell you something or both. And I can't fully care about everybody's plight. I cannot. I just don't have it in me. We say that phrase, you can't do everything.
Yeah.
And that's obviously true. But to the best of my ability, I want to be able to take care of the car in the best way I can. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to take care of the dog. Of course, I want to take care of my family. I want to take care of my faith. I want to be healthy. Mm-hmm. And I try to do a little of everything.
Sure.
And even that, you can't do everything. But this is a whole different thing. I can't fully invest the way you are saying that I should. And I realize it's exhausting. Mm-hmm. And I think friendships can be the same way. Mm-hmm. Community, acquaintances, anybody. Your friend either suggests something or maybe it's just about hanging out. Oh, you didn't come to my thing that I invited you to. Mm-hmm. Wow. Man, I don't have the capacity to fully be there in the way that even I should on some of, the relationships I actually know with everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I really thought about life I don't have a specific movie in mind, but the guy, the middle-aged guy that's just exhausted with his 9-to-5 job and the world is beating him down.
So that's Mr. Incredible.
Yeah.
That's another
right.
Pixar.
Yeah, that's right.
And he doesn't want to be at the, he wants to be his superhero self.
Where is he at? He's at the DMV. Is that where he works?
I know. I think he works in insurance.
In insurance, yeah. And it's just,
like,
and it's just, I felt that. It felt like I was fighting a battle of everybody in life. And so I think for me, I want to read this passage in Colossians there's a lot here. Mm-hmm. But I think it's also a good thing for me to, one, know about that Jesus says, my burden is easy, my yoke is light. Mm-hmm. know that and know that I don't have to fully invest, especially when it comes to like sales and stuff like that. It's okay that I can't do everything. And even if the sales tactic is making me feel like a terrible person, I have to just choose my own path and follow God rather than follow what the world is constantly trying to do.
What can follow all of those things? Data. What can follow all of the new stats and research that's been done on the latest health, whatever.
Right. Yeah, health stuff too, right.
Maybe artificial intelligence. And the question is, do you want to be a robot?
Do I want to be a robot? Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then you should just be yourself.
Yeah.
And do the one thing we should be passionate about, the one thing that we should be all in about is our faith.
Yeah.
And then accordingly, my favorite verse might be popping up here.
Is it Matthew 6:33?
If I'm seeking him first, well, not only will all of these things be added, but they will then become secondary. And then he will, by his wisdom, kind of help point and direct me. My sheep know my voice. Mm-hmm. If I tell them to go this way, they'll go this way. So it's like, okay, let me run this through the Jesus voice filter. Is this thing that somebody's trying to sell me on today? And it might even be good things.
I once went to a gym.
But is this the right thing for
Sure,
me?
Yeah. I once went to a gym and we were joining, and I didn't realize at this particular gym, it was like buying a car. Hey, you sign in and we'll go over there and have a meeting with the personal trainer. Oh, okay. Whatever. Oh, man.
Oh, you're going to have a meeting.
It was because you get your free one, and that's how they say, well, go meet and you can schedule your free one. Well, they're trying to convince you to pay.
It's like a timeshare. Yeah.
Yes. They're convincing you to pay $250 a month because you really need this. And I'll never forget, he wrote down, he's like, what do you spend on eating out weekly? I don't know, this much. What do you spend on actual dates, like going out? And we were sitting there, I don't know, this much. We spend on going to the movies. You go to the movie? Yeah, he holds it. You get popcorn when you go, holds it all up, and it's more than what he charges for his services.
Sure.
And he goes, so you're spending on this, all this, on killing yourself and being unhealthy, and you wouldn't rather spend this to help yourself? And I'm just like, get me out of here. Why? Isn't this supposed to be free?
This is how we get trapped in pyramid schemes. But at the same time, it hopefully will Lord, if there's anything here for me in the midst of the coal, let me find the diamond, pluck it for myself, and take away this. You know what? I do spend a little bit more on the snacks than I should be.
Yeah, maybe you didn't even get his services, but you lighten up on something. Sure, absolutely.
Sure, it can reveal a truth.
So here's Colossians, and there's going to be some application. Others just other truth. This is just from verse 1. Since you have been raised to new life with Christ, set your sights on the realities of heaven, where Christ sits in the place of honor at God's right hand. Think about the things of heaven, not the things of earth. For you died to this life, and your real life is hidden with Christ in God. And when Christ, who is your life, is revealed to the whole world, you will share in all his glory. Now, I want to give it context. I'm going to read these next couple of verses.
Okay.
So put to death, there's that so put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you. Have nothing to do with sexual immorality, impurity, lust, and evil desires. Don't be greedy, for a greedy person is an idolater, worshiping the things of this world. Because of these sins, the anger of God is coming. You used to do these things when your life was still part of this world, but now is the time to get rid of anger, rage, malicious behavior, slander, dirty language. Don't lie to each other, for you have stripped off your old sinful nature and its wicked deeds. Now, I'm going to go on a little bit. This is verse 12:13. Since God chose you to be the holy people he loves, you must clothe yourselves with tenderhearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience. Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. And that last part is when I feel offended that somebody couldn't make it to my thing.
Yeah.
I have to realize they got a lot going on. People have a lot going on.
Yeah.
I wanted to read the sin stuff because when I read that first verse hit me, or second verse, think about the things of heaven, not the things of earth. So it does go on what he's talking about, sinful stuff. That's kind of what the phrase, the things of earth. at the same time, I think there is, because what I don't want is to sit here and go, don't think about your mortgage. Don't think about that. In other parts of the Bible, Paul is even saying it's good to be single so you can do more ministry. Because if you do get married and have a family, there are things to take care of. In James, it talks about providing for your family. I mean, when it says don't think about the things of earth, there are things we have responsibilities for and we do have to think about in some way. But I also don't want to think about the things of the world, kind of that context it's talking about, which is fads, which is lies and deceitfulness, which is too focused on image rather than, and whether that is, body and being healthy, or whether that's having it all together, whether that is being rich enough or smart enough, or in making sure that I represent myself in the most perfect of ways so that I can't be ridiculed. And it named obviously other sins, lurking and immorality and purity. And that's obviously a major part of that context. But I think it's what we said earlier, following God, not following what's cool or even what is said to be the right way to do life according to the world.
I think I lie to myself sometimes, and I know that from the surface when I read things. Hey, you shouldn't care what other people's opinion is. That's right. I think that too. And then when the Holy Spirit allows me to dig into real life and look back on the week or whatever, in what ways has it manifested that I care about what other people think?
Okay.
It could be, let's just use your scenario for instance. Let's say that those guys, when they came over to your house, basically made you feel the way they manipulated the situation, the conversation, what you're declaring is good enough for your family is not good enough. You don't care about your family. And if you really cared about your family, then you would go with this giant package deal.
You would spend $5,000 conveniently that we're selling you.
Exactly. What would prompt you to go through with something like that? Might be a people-pleasing thing.
Could be.
It might be I have to keep up with appearances thing.
Right.
It's so easy for us to say, oh, yeah, I don't care what other people think. And then when we look back and we go, wait a second, actually, I kind of do, don't I?
Yeah. Because
of this, and this. And it's just allowing the Holy Spirit to help us reprioritize what we think about and how we think about it. And like you said, is it being in a healthy way that we're looking at this thing, or are we being foolish and we're giving into temptation or pride or whatever it is?
There are times where, especially last week, we talked about small groups, community. There are times when I should listen to other people. I'm whether I'm sinning or I'm just not being smart about something, and I should give way to the wisdom of counsel.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about totally applies.
Yeah.
Often we just don't want to be the weird one.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the one that is, I would never do that. I care about my family, so yes, I'll do it.
Yeah. That band that you liked and didn't tell anybody about secretly. Why? Why didn't you tell anybody?
Yeah.
You didn't want anybody to find out. Why? Because you care about what people think.
Sure. Yep.
You don't wear that one shirt. You know why? Because your favorite Care Bear is on it and you're, 72.
I thought...
Maybe actually at 72, you really don't care what people think. So you just
Well, I was about to say, I thought we were talking about fake examples for a second, but thank you for bringing my Care Bear shirt and throwing people off and that it was a 72-year-old.
You love Lionheart.
Yeah, that's right.
Or whoever that one is, I don't know.
And I stand for it now.
Stand for Lionheart. But no, I think all of those things are in God's timing, because you can't inundate yourself with too much information and too many things to process.
Yeah.
What does God have for you today? And today might have been to tackle that moment with those guys. Lord, is there anything here? Is this ridiculous? And like you went through scripture and you were able to then compartmentalize. This is where sometimes I can go. And this is how we grow.
And I mean, full context, I didn't do this afterwards. I had fortunately, conveniently read through Colossians.
But
right. So that's why it's good to do a quiet time. It'll apply to life,
and
right?
Look, I'm not looking for all of these amazing opportunities to hit you upside the head to exercise your faith in God, but I am saying you never know down the road where your thought process in connecting even what you read in scripture prior to and what you experienced in real life time, they connected in a way that brought you to a growth place in Christ. And that's why reading God's word is so imperative, is because we hide his word in our heart that we won't do the sinful thing, that will take it to a proper and healthy place. And so working this out, even every situation, if God has allowed anything to touch my life, then there must be something in it. And it could be, I might overwhelm myself if I start documenting things. And I have obsessive compulsive disorder. I have the mentality in my brain, because of the chemical imbalance, that if I think I'm supposed to think something, I will think it to death until I feel like I'm going crazy. So when you brought up, I'm supposed to be doing this for my family, I'm supposed to be doing this for my body, I'm supposed to be having this plan for our finances, I'm supposed to be having this house assessed this way, or whatever, it becomes so much that my brain, I'm never going to be enough. And you know what? When you can get to the place where it's like, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
That's a good place to be.
It's just impossible to fully be invested in everything that you should do.
No, you cannot do that. And so a lot of us, I've been bringing up a lot of cartoon movies. Spoiler alert, Wild Robot. There's this one moment where the mom...
Hold on. You didn't give somebody enough time to hit the pause button.
Wild Robot. The mom.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. The mama possum says, we don't know what we're doing when it comes to parenting. We're just going as we go.
Isn't that refreshing?
But it's like, honestly, with each child, you may have done a job with this one, but this child is wired completely different. It's going to be a different job. And God is going to supply the need. He's going to supply you with whatever it is that you need. Because he said to us, Jesus was like, why are you worrying?
Yeah.
The birds they don't toil, they don't put stuff away, but yet they have food because their Heavenly Father feeds them. The lilies of the field. Have you seen anything clothed more beautifully than them? Even King Solomon in his glories wasn't as beautiful as them, and they have everything they need, but they didn't go out for the Prada fashion show. God is going to give us what we need when we need it, and we can overwhelm ourselves with things that we are told by society is good stuff. Right. Lord, what do you say is good? Because only you are good.
That does remind me, though, there is a guy that we work with, actually. He has 3 kids, and there's the parenting thing, the possible reminds me. He told me, he said, and maybe you're here there too, he goes, we're the first 2 kids, and we thought we nailed it.
Yeah.
We were seriously thinking about writing a parenting book. We just had the best kids, and we were like, we got this thing down.
Yeah, yeah.
And then our 3rd one came along.
Yes.
And we realized we had no idea what we were doing.
The really good thing about sharing this about this fellow worker is we didn't reveal his name so that when his son watches this later, he's going to know, I'm that guy. I'm the guy.
No.
I'm the guy who broke your will to write a book.
Plenty of people that work here that have 3 kids. So,
but you know what? If you don't have that kid, God's going to give you that situation that's going to break what you think you knew.
Well, I'm sorry. You're on a stage preaching, I think, right now. Go ahead.
He's going to give you plenty of opportunities to unlearn what you think you learned. We are always in process and learning.
I think there is always a moment where you go, I thought I had this figured out. And then this happened.
There's more to know.
Yeah.
We never arrive until we arrive with Jesus.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you're dead.
Until we know and for people who are not believers, they're like, that is the most hopeless sentence ever. But then you're like, wait a second. No, that means there's even more. After we pass from this life, this is like the warm up, I feel like.
Sure. Yeah.
And then when we are in the presence of the one who knows everything and who is holy and who is able to somehow, it doesn't feel so lofty that it's so like, I'm going to have to sit like this in heaven all the time. No, my word. If God invented in our minds things that are cool, how much more awesome is he going to be?
I heard our pastor broke this down in a way I never heard about. The veil will be removed. Where also we'll be able to see that spiritual dimension of how angels worship God, obviously, but then even he was talking about even the plants and the animals. Yeah. Creation groans, it talks about in just different ways. There was that curse on creation after the Garden of Eden. And so there will be that, we see it's going to change. Lions will lay down with the sheep and there will just be peace. And I don't know, I wish I could quote him exactly, but just, we think we're going to get to heaven. We're just going to be singing like the church choir.
With a harp.
Never going to stop, you know? And there will be this unveiling in our eyes to be able to see how everything made.
We're going to be blown away.
Is worshiping the true God.
And we're going to be so excited that we're a part of it.
Yeah.
That he desires us. He desires an audience with us.
Yeah.
How? That'd be, okay, think about the coolest person on the planet that you think, like maybe you had a poster of them on your wall when you were a kid. I don't know. That person, I can't wait to talk to you. And you're like, what? You can't wait to talk to me? And God loved us so much that he sent his son to die for us. And so if I look at this life through that lens, then I think that would make any task that is before me that God asks me to do. Nothing is too mundane. Nothing is too beneath me. That there must be a reason. If he has brought me to it, he'll help me get me through it. Those types of things. There's a purpose. He has a plan. And I've been reading in Nehemiah, and I loved this part. I shared it with my kids. I gave them a brief history about Israel and Judah. And the long and the short of it is this. There were some disagreements, and they split up. Israel split up. So it was like the Civil War. If the South had win, I mean, it would be an atrocious situation anyway, but there'd be two parts, right? The North and the South. Yeah. And so that's kind of what it was with Israel and Judah. Solomon was raking it in with getting everything built and making it pretty, and his son was reaping the benefits of all of that. And the workers and the laborers were like, you need to ease up, son of Solomon. And he's like, you know what? I'm good with you working. Like, he took the wrong counsel. He asked the older people on the council, and then he asked his entitled friends. It was like, what do you think? Make him work harder. That sounds smart. They're upset and grieving, and they have a strike going on. Their union stinks.
Hey, you got any more not fully cooked meat over there I can eat with my hands?
So those guys, they raised up an argument, and they broke it off. And so Israel was up north, Judah was down south, and they both were exiled at different times by Assyrians, by Babylonians. And then Nehemiah, he's in the Persian Empire now. The Babylon has been taken over. The Persian Empire has begun. And it feels like we have pretty good relationships with some of the kings, differing times, right? Darius was friends with Daniel. There has been some questioning over the years, and I think one day is one of those things after the veil is lifted, we'll be like, can you help us with a timeline here? Because historically, there have been some things that we haven't been able to tack down with the son of Nebuchadnezzar, who exactly that was. Was it Belshazzar? Was that the grandson? Was that a different guy? There's some things there in history that if you're reading through the Old Testament, it might feel confusing.
Sure.
But there were a lot of different ways to explain relationships. And even we know that in Jewish lineage, there have been ways to explain relationships. But the whole of it with Nehemiah, he is in the presence of Artaxerxes. And apparently Artaxerxes got it because he had his wife around to help him with decision makings. And I'm like, you know what? Finally, somebody recognizing that women might know what they're talking about. But Artaxerxes, it says specifically, and I looked it up, I was like, why is it important that it was mentioned that his wife, the queen, was there as well? And it said because that would have been one of those times where they were going to have a talk, a come to Jesus moment. Like, this was going to be a good discussion. Like, things are going to get done. If she's there, she's in on the conversation too. And it wasn't just one of these casual conversations. So Nehemiah is a cupbearer, and he's a guy who drinks the wine to make sure that the king doesn't get poisoned by somebody.
Sure.
And he's there, and he's looking real glum. His family had gone to visit the ruins of Jerusalem, come back and told him, and he's praying about it. Well, one day he couldn't hide his pain, and the king's like, what is going on? Anybody can see that you are upset. And Nehemiah asks for help. He goes out on a limb with this king, because that king could kill him.
Sure.
You know? And king says this remarkable thing that I feel like the Heavenly Father is just waiting for us to ask every once in a while. What do you need? What do you need? What would you like if you could ask me? And he said, I kind of would like to go back home, and I'd like to rebuild some stuff. I'd like for it to no longer be ruined. This is a temple. This is where God was worshiped, and it's gone. It's been burned down, and it's awful. My people are, it's awful right now. I think especially we're recording this in a time where we just experienced these hurricanes that have hit the East Coast. And there are places where they're telling us it's like biblical events have had taken place where cities have been wiped out by these hurricanes. So it's kind of like that. There's no communication. Nobody knows what anybody's doing in those areas because they don't have electricity, right? Well, in those days, you travel so many days from one area to another, and they come back and tell Nehemiah, this is a shambles. It's been this way for decades. And the king sends him with people that are going to help him with building the wall, with talking it out with enemies around him who don't want him to build the wall. He gives them supplies. And as they're building this wall, there are people building that nobody would have expected to build, like a perfume maker's building the wall. The only two women that are mentioned in helping build the wall. I love that. And his daughters helped build this wall. People got in on it, whether they were craftsmen or architects or engineers. They all helped. Some of them did it. I remember specifically this one guy did it enthusiastically. Which I'm like, I'd want to build my section next to that guy, as opposed to the grumbling community where the leaders didn't even help, but they made their servants do it. Except Nehemiah was trying to create this atmosphere where we're on the same plane. People who had even sold themselves to pay off a debt to their fellow Israelite person. He's like, no, we're done with that nonsense. You give back the property, give him back the money. No, you're not a slave anymore. That's not where we're starting here. We're going to start at level 0, okay? And there's this moment where, as they're sharing, and this guy built that section in front of his house, and that guy built that section in front of his house, and this guy was assigned poop gate.
Is that what the translation reads?
Okay, the translation says garbage gate, but I looked it up.
It's a sewer?
It's poop gate. Poop gate. Now, this guy, it doesn't say that he was upset about it, but it does say in the very next sentence, and the other guy was assigned Fountain Gate. Now, tell me which one you'd prefer.
I think Fountain.
Fountain.
I'm pretty sure.
You think Fountain, you think green pastures, you think the beautiful gardens that, we've seen illustrated in cartoons, or maybe we've been to ourselves and experienced. And then Poop Gate. If you've had one dog and you've had to put him up behind a dog fence, you don't have to imagine. You're there. And so the ashes from the sacrifices, the fecal matter from the animal's sacrifice, all of the things that you would find that need to be disposed of had to go through this gate. Somebody got to make it.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to build it. And you know what? Almost like within the same breath, it's mentioned with Fountain Gate. There's no ugh about it, I'm thinking, ugh, I'd much rather be assigned Fountain Gate. But that everybody did their part. And as far as it reads, there wasn't a complaint from the man who was assigned that task.
Yeah.
It was a necessity. And so it makes me think about things that God has maybe allowed us to be assigned to. Feels beneath us. You got to be kidding me. I got to do this again. Maybe you've been reassigned something. How many times do I have to go through this over and over again? And you think about, Lord, okay, again, if your word says that you work all things together for good for me, because I love you, I've said yes to you, then somehow being reassigned this menial, whatever it looks like, task has purpose in it. Yeah. And if I can even change my thinking into stop saying it's menial. Stop saying it's mundane. Guys, if we didn't have a bathroom situation in our bodies, we would not be living.
Yeah.
It's essential that we have a clean plumbing system available in our bodies. Doctors would tell us that. And so it's important for the city to have it. I loved the image of that. It's such a simple one. It's picturesque. It's one you could use with a Sunday school class and all the kids. Ew! At the same time, if we didn't have that gate, we couldn't keep things clean. It wouldn't be kosher. It wouldn't be all the things that God has asked us to be. And so in our lives, for some reason, whatever that task is, there is a purpose for it. And it's connected to the things that he's also called you to in other areas.
So sometimes I feel like that spark can be there where you and a group of friends, or maybe it's a whole church, you're like, we're going to do this initiative right now, and everybody catches the vision for it.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like that time was. And I remember being at a church. It was the darndest thing you'd ever see. The pastor, I had walked into this church. There'd been years of drama, right? So I didn't know much about it, but there's 5 paid staff members, and the pastor, they couldn't reconcile and all this. And so he gets up there and he preaches through the Bible and then starts over. So it was only God or coincidence, however you want to phrase that. But I'm thinking on a day like this, just the irony though, he was preaching on unity and he announced he was leaving the church and starting a new one. Or that was eventually the plans. 2 or 3 left, and then the other 2 or 3 got fired. And we were a church with no staff. And a part of a bigger denomination, so they would send guest preachers. But besides that, we were on our own.
Sure.
And it was one of those beautiful times. Not necessarily that part of it, but the next few months before we actually hired our first staff person, we were doing what the Bible calls to do, things like this. Doing our part. And I remember certain initiatives and classes and like even they called it the Hallelujah Party, the fall festival. And it would be new people stepping up to something they'd never done before. Because somebody had to be in charge of it. And it was really, really cool.
Refreshing.
To be a part of.
Imagine the person, and perhaps you can do more than imagine. Maybe you're that person in leadership where you see a need and you're gonna help fix it, like Nehemiah. He wasn't a part of David's lineage. Like, he was this guy who drank wine before the king did, so he didn't die, and he becomes the governor in that area. But he never, it wasn't one of those things that's like, I'm going to get mine and you're going to pay me. He always made sure things were very equal because he wanted that. Can you imagine how refreshing, though, when people just said yes? Like, he didn't have to struggle with, you're going to do this. Now, there were some people, and I feel like those were among the minority as opposed to the majority, that you could tell just by the writing of Nehemiah that they were sticklers. No, we're going to send people to do our work for us. We're not about to do that. It's below us. But a lot of the people, yes, we're going to do it. And even though some of the people that were in opposition to the Israelites, and they were, of the other people groups around them, and they were trying to destroy what was happening in building up this wall. And so they're shouting out all this cursing and this, oh, look at this pile of rocks, anybody could knock it over. And we experience that in life too. There's going to be all the naysayers. But to be that refreshing person, first of all, to maybe somebody in authority over us, but to also picture in our own lives with our own children, people where maybe we're the authoritative figure. How refreshing is it when our children just obey? And do the right thing the first time.
Obey right away.
What a gift that is. So
That's good. This is our Anything But Quiet Time podcast. It is weekly. If you want to hit that subscribe button, if you're on YouTube, that is, you can hit the subscribe and the bell. It'll notify when new episodes are out.
Does it ring a bell?
Well, you just click the bell.
But it doesn't ring.
I don't think it sounds.
Like when you get this, it doesn't. Okay.
Well, it depends on what your sound setting is.
Let down, actually, right now by YouTube. I think it should ring.
Well, there you go.
It's a bell.
This is, I'm going to have to hear about this rant for the next week. Until then, we'll see. Catch you later.